I want to bring in Lin Wood now. He's an attorney for John Ramsey. He's been involved in this case for 14 years, and he's out front. Lin, thanks so much. I really appreciate your taking the time. Let me ask you, I mean, the charges that we're seeing in these newly released documents, child abuse resulting in the death of their 6-year-old daughter, accessory to first-degree murder. Why would they release this now?
You know, they released this in response to an open records request filed by a reporter out in Colorado. Without that request, I doubt that these documents would have been released. But I will tell you, the release of these documents, Aaron, is a gross injustice to the Ramsey family and to the public and to our system of justice. We got 4 pages, and that's 4 pages out of an 18-month grand jury investigation that likely produced hundreds of thousands of pages of testimony, evidence, and exhibits. And John Ramsey went to court, and he asked that all of the record be disclosed to the public. Even though the accusation was against him and his wife, John wanted all the evidence to be put out there, and it should have been. That would have given the public an opportunity to see if there was any evidence to support these, what I would refer to as confusing and contradictory charges that were suggested by the grand jury in 1999.
So let me ask you, because, you know, in the document, it says both John and Patsy Ramsey should be indicted for child abuse resulting in death, and I'll read you the direct quote. I know you know it, Lin, but for our viewers. They knowingly, recklessly, and feloniously permit a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation which posed a threat of injury to the child's life or health, which resulted in the death of JonBenet Ramsey. What is your response to that directly?
What are they talking about? What are they saying that John and/or Patsy Ramsey did to place JonBenet in a position of peril? They let her sleep on a floor beneath their bedroom on the top floor? I mean, that's the problem. You really don't know what this grand jury was thinking, and you don't know what evidence, if any, actually supported the charges. What we do know is that, as you pointed out at the beginning of the segment, Alex Hunter did not pursue charges based on this grand jury true bill.
Right.
And he was right, because what this grand jury did not know, that was learned 9 years later, is that there was conclusive DNA evidence found on the clothes of JonBenet in 3 different locations, which unequivocally exonerated the Ramsey family, which the Boulder District Attorney did in public in 2008.
Let me ask you about that DNA, though, because obviously, as you point out, Lin, DNA of another person was found on JonBenet's underwear. That DNA used to exonerate the Ramseys. But it would seem, until there's an actual suspect identified and linked to that DNA, how can it prove that the murder was committed by somebody else? It just means somebody else was there at some point. It doesn't mean fully that they didn't do it, right?
Well, look, it does, because look at the findings. This grand jury knew that there was DNA found in JonBenet's underwear in the crotch area. What was learned 9 years later is that there was DNA on both sides of her pajama bottoms. That DNA matched the DNA found in her underwear. As the district attorney, Mary Lacey, at the time stated, there is no innocent explanation to find foreign male DNA in 3 different locations on the clothing of a murder victim. That DNA is the DNA of the perpetrator of this crime, and that will solve it.
I mean, I guess that's a big part. Was it semen?
It was, we believe, saliva found in her underwear, and it was found by touch DNA technology on her pajama bottoms, likely transferred by the touch of fingers or hands.
Now, does your client, John Ramsey, believe he knows who committed this murder at this time?
He does not. John has said before, as Patsy said before she untimely died, they don't know anyone who could commit such a heinous crime. This child was brutally assaulted and brutally murdered. And there is, if you release that entire grand jury transcript, there will not be any evidence to support that one of these family members was involved in that crime. They are innocent, as the DNA proved, and Alex Hunter did the right thing in 1999. He did his duty, and he did not pursue charges for which the evidence would not support a finding of guilty.
And Lin, just before we go, though, do you think we'll ever know who did this? I mean, this is a case, as you know, captivated the country. It still captivates people. And if someone did this horrific crime, and there's someone somewhere that did it, I mean, we never going to know?
Well, you know, I think we will hopefully learn when we get a hit on the DNA, which is in the FBI CODIS database. There was another young girl who was brutally murdered in Boulder, Colorado about a year after JonBenet, Susanna Chase. 10 years after her murder, a random hit on DNA revealed the perpetrator of that crime. What we do know is that, yes, as you point out, it's one of the great unsolved mysteries of our time, but part of that mystery has been solved, and that part of the mystery is that John and Patsy Ramsey were not involved in the death of their child. That chapter of the book has been closed and is a done deal. This family should be recognized, as the Boulder DA said in 2008, as victims of crime. They should not be, as John is today, now once again accused of some criminal involvement without any evidence whatsoever to be disclosed to support it, because it's not there.